Welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial, we'll learn how to cut and sew this beautiful blouse. Stay with me as I teach you how to cut and sew this blouse. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share. And to my old subscribers, thank you for coming back. Now let's draft the basic pattern for this blouse. You just draft a normal pattern and I will modify it to achieve the blouse. So the first thing is to draw a line, a reference line, and that line stands as my shoulder line. From there, I will mark half length, that is shoulder to waist. In this case, it is 16 inches. So I will draw the waist line, and I will mark also the blouse length, whatever you want your blouse length to be. In this case, I'm using 26 as my blouse length. Although the blouse will be longer than this, we'll modify it when we are cutting it on fabric. But for now, I'm using my normal blouse length, which is 26. So now let's work on the back. I'll measure 3 inches. And from the 3 inches, I'll measure 5 inches. That is to mark out the shoulder slant. From the 5 inches, I'll come down by 1.5 inches. And I will now draw my shoulder slant. It will start from the 3 inches mark. And I'll connect it to the 1.5 inches. That is the shoulder slant. Now on this line, I will mark my shoulder divided by 2, which is 8 in this case. I'll come down a little and mark the 8 so that I can draw a straight line for my armhole. After drawing the line, I will mark my armhole depth. In this case, it's 8 inches. And from there, I will divide my bust by 4. And I will mark it. I will add 1 inch seam allowance. Even though we might not need this seam allowance, let's just put it. And I will make my armhole curve. After that, on my waistline, I will divide my waist measurements by 4. I will mark it and I will add 1 inch seam allowance. On the hip line, my hip divided by 4, 1 inch seam allowance. I'll connect all the lines. Then we'll work on the neckline. To modify the neck, let's put the normal neck measurement for an adult, which is 3 inches for the width and 3 inches for the depth. As you know that the style is actually a high neck, so I'll come up by 1.25. And I will draw the line like this. Now I will now curve this line to meet the shoulder line. That is for the high neck. Just curve it like this to meet the shoulder line. The next thing is to cut out this pattern, and I'll be cutting out 2, one for the back and one for the front. I'll cut it out and come back to show you the next step. So let's keep one. Let's keep one. That will be for the back. Now the next step is to work on the front, the cowl effects at the front. So what I'll do is I will measure what I have at this shoulder and I'll divide it into 5 equal parts. So whatever it is that you have, just divide into 5 equal parts. It's not necessarily it's equal, just make sure you divide it into 5, and if you don't want it 5, you can divide into 4 depending on what you want. So I will mark it and divide into 5 equal parts. At the center front as well, I will need to mark 5 lines, but I want my first drape to follow my initial neckline, that is the 3 by 3 neckline. So that is the first point that I will cut. Then I will measure what I have depending on where I want the drape to end. I am marking that point, which is 16 from that 3, and I will mark 4 inches, 8, 12, and the 16. So the lines now, I already connected one to the neckline. So the others now I am connecting to the 4 marks that I have. I'm connecting to the 4 marks that I have. I'm sorry my pen is not really showing, but I hope you understand what I'm doing. So I will label it and I will cut out the markings. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The next will be to cut it out. At this point, I'm done pasting it. Now this is what it looks like. This is number 6. You see, I'm still trying to cross check 2 inches, 1 inch up, 2 inch difference, 1 inch up. That is how I did till I get to the end. Now this the number 1, you see it is touching the center of the edge of the paper, and that is where the center front will be. But the others, I'm not bothered whether they touch that center front or not. Number 1 and number 6, the tip of number 6 should also touch the center of the edge of the paper. So the next thing will be for me to cut out the pattern. Now I will just draw a straight line to join from the edge of that number 6 to this number 1 and cut it straight, instead of following the ladder like shape. You can follow the ladder like shape if you want. Well, I just feel, let me just draw a straight line like this and cut it straight. So I'll come back to explain the next step. After cutting, this is what our pattern looks like. Alright, now let's use the pattern to cut our fabric. This is the fabric I'll be using, and I'll fold my fabric like this. You see the way I am folding it? That is how we'll fold the fabric. I'll place the pattern on the fabric. Now this folding determines depends on how full you want your blouse to be. If you want it very full, then you fold it well, the way we fold a flay dress. So I'll just place my pattern on it. I'll make sure the neck or the neckline is at the edge. You can place your pattern anyhow. Only make sure that this part I want to pin is at the edge, because that is the neckline. If it is far from that edge, it affects the neck. So I'll just pin the pattern, and we're going to cut it. Before we cut the pattern, I will extend the lower part of my pattern, because when you look at that blouse, it is long at one side and the other side is short. So because I don't want to open it, so I'll just add 12 inches extra. So later on, when I'm done with the sewing, I will now trim it so that I can have that asymmetric effect. So I'll just extend this fabric, the pattern, by 12 inches, so that it can be very long at one side, and I will trim off the other side so that the other side will be short. So I'll connect the 12 inches and I will now cut out the pattern. Okay, this is me cutting out the pattern. You see it is the fabric is longer, and since it is a flare fold, it is it's extended at this part. So I'll just cut it You see, one side is short, and I will be using that side, so I'll just cut it up like that to meet for this side to meet the short side. Now the next thing is to cut the upper part of this blouse. So like I said, I already pin it, and you see the neckline is at that edge. I had to pin that neckline down at that point because I don't want it to move. So I'll just follow the shape of this pattern, and I'll just cut it out. So the next thing is I want to I'm marking the part that will pleat at that shoulder. I'm marking it so that it will be easy for me to do the pleats. So this is it. I'll pleat, I already marked them. So I'll pleat the first one, following the markings. Trying to pin it down first before I take it to the sewing machine. Pin the second one. I've taken it to my sewing machine, and this is what I have. This is the neck, this is the shoulder. Remember that it was the shoulder that we cut open, and this is the remaining part. You know, it is more like a flare, and the sleeve will just cut, the hand will just come out from one side. So this is the front. Let me now place the pattern, the back pattern, on the fabric again. Still the same fold, the same way I folded the front, that is the same way I'll fold the back. I'll place the pattern. I will extend it with 12 inches the way I did for the front, and I'll cut out my pattern. And same as the front, the neck must be at this edge. It must be close to that edge. I'll just pin down this pattern and cut out my fabric. Now we need to put slit at this center back so that the head will be wide enough, the neckline will be wide enough for the head to pass through. So I'll be using 6 inches. I'll just open it. My slit is 6 inches long. So basically that is all to this tie. The next thing is to cut facing. I will use the facing to turn the neckline, that is for the front and for the back. And the facing also will help me to, at that slit, the back slit, then I'll put an elastic, a little loop for, because there will be button and I will need a loop to connect the button at the back. The front too, I will cut facing to do the turn up for the neck, the front, the neckline of the front. Then after doing that, I will join the blouses together. At this point I already fixed that's my loop, and the facing has already been done, you see. The next thing I need to do is to place my front to the back, and I will connect. You see that shoulder line, the front shoulder line has a pleat, the back does not, and it's that pleat that will form the cow effect. Then after joining that pleated side, I will sew like 6 inches. After sewing the 6 inches, I will jump like maybe by 8 inches. That is where the sleeve will come out from. And this is the outcome. This is what I have. I'm done sewing that part. Let me just show you. You see this part, this is the shoulder. You see the shoulder is already joined. That is the pleated part. You see the pleated parts, the front pleats and the back all joined. Now I extended it by 6 inches from the last pleat to 6 inches. After that I stopped sewing and I left this part. You see this part, this is where the sleeve will come out from. I mean the arm will come out from, and I left 8 inches. That is in total round is 16 inches, and I continued till I sewed to the end. And the same I did for the other side. And basically that is all to this tie. So the next thing is to take this blouse and I'll wear it for a mannequin, and I'll cut off the excess. You see the front is longer than the back because of that cow effect. So I'll place it on my mannequin and trim it so that it can have the asymmetric effect it has. That is the shape of the blouse. I will show you the outcome now. Alright, this is the outcome of the blouse. I think the 12 inches extension I used was too small. Maybe I should have extended it a little so that this side I'm holding will come down more. And I think the slants wasn't that showing. But the neck, the drape at the neckline, I think I love that. It's okay. And the sleeve, the opening I left at the side, that is where the hand will come out from. From here, that is where the sleeve will come out from, and also at the other side. Basically this is the style. I hope you understand how to sew it. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do like and share. See you in my next tutorial. Bye.